nation. All the things we believe in are in great danger. This danger has been created by the rulers of the Soviet Union. The future of civilization depends on what we do now, and in the months ahead.
The Korean conflict was a 3-year war that began when North Korea crossed the 30th parallel and invaded South Korea, with the intention of overtaking it and creating a communist country. After losing millions of Korean lives, and because of the involvement and pressure from the United States, China, and the Soviet Union, a compromise was reached between North and South Korea to end the war. It resulted in a mass loss of life and the downfall of each Korean economy. The North was controlled by a communist regime, while the South was governed by a more capitalist government. Kim Il-sung, the leader of North Korea, wanted to convert the entire country into one of communism, while Syngman Rhee, the leader of South Korea, strived for an ultra-nationalist country. Following World War II, the Korean peninsula had been divided along the 30th parallel. The conflict commenced when North Korea invaded and attacked South Korea.
On Sunday, June 25th, Communist forces attacked the Republic of Korea. This attack has made it clear beyond all doubt that the international communist movement is willing to use armed invasion to conquer independent nations. An act of aggression such as this, it creates a very real danger to the security of all free nations.
Many feared that the entire Pacific area would be affected depending on the outcome of the war. Because of this, the United States quickly joined in 1950 to assist its ally, South Korea. The United States decided that they were going to assist South Korea in the war after President Harry S. Truman and the U.S. Congress approved.
Here are the things we will do. First, we will continue to uphold, and if necessary, to defend with arms, the principles of the United Nations. Second, we will continue to work with the other free nations to strengthen our combined defenses. Third, we will build up our own Army, Navy, and Air Force, and make more weapons for ourselves and our allies. Fourth, we will expand our economy and keep it on an even keel.
The Korean War impacted millions of Korean, Chinese, and American lives.
Oh, yes, ma'am, I did serve in the Korean War. I was drafted at the tender age of 19. I got thrown away from my mother. 2 weeks later, I was on my way to training camp. And I finished my training camp in 3 months. Come out there as a medic and a BAR is Browning automatic rifle for the infantry. When we got to Korea, I was with the 1st Cavalry Division, and right away we got sent up to the front. And what gets me during my training, when I graduated, the one that gave us the finished course and then medics says, medics have no front lines. Well, that was the biggest lie I was ever told.
In addition, the United Nations heavily backed the United States and South Korea to unify the peninsula under the auspices of democracy.
That was a United Nations effort. There were people from Australia, England, Philippines, from all over the country, all of the United Nations. We had soldiers from all over.
China and the Soviet Union also decided to back their ally, North Korea.
The first ones that came across were the riflemen, and then the next wave would be the grenadiers that carried grenades, and then the third wave that would come across carried nothing. They picked up the rifles and the grenades of the fallen ones that were ahead of them.
In October 1950, the war essentially reached a standstill along the 30th parallel. Russia believed that the United States would not interfere and then encouraged North Korea to attack South Korea and convert it to communism. They believed that this would allow them to easily overtake various other countries and spread their communist rule. On June 25, 1950, North Korean tanks crossed the 30th parallel, the border between both Koreas.
The communist invasion was launched in great force, with planes, tanks, and artillery. The size of the attack and the speed with which it was followed up make it perfectly plain that it had been plotted long in advance.
This attack consisted of over 75,000 Korean tanks and an immense amount of soldiers. The Korean War was comprised of 3 different conflicts. As stated by Alan R. Millett, the author of The War for Korea 1950 to 1951, for North and South Korea, the conflict was a civil war, a struggle with no possible compromise between 2 competing visions for Korea's future. To the north was a coalition led by 3 dictators, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong, and Kim Il-sung, devoted to creating a communist Korea, a single-party state that controlled all economic assets and all aspects of the people's lives. To the south, the Republic of Korea had a Western-style constitution and Christian capitalist orientation in the support of the United States and the United Nations.
52 of the 59 countries which are members of the United Nations have given their support to the action taken by the Security Council to restore peace in Korea.
Negotiations began early in the Korean War and continued for 3 years until North and South Korea came to a compromise. In 1951, Mao Zedong, Joseph Stalin, and Harry S. Truman decided that it was no longer in their own nation's interest to struggle to attain a complete victory in Korea. This was because they feared that the war may have spread to a larger global conflict. The war eventually went on for 2 more years because of a lack of compromise. Eventually, though, both Koreas decided to concede. After 3 years of hostility, an extensive loss of life, and on-and-off negotiations, North Korea and South Korea agreed to end the war and declared the border between the 2 countries at the 38th parallel. The Forgotten War created an enormous impact on the Koreas and other parts of the world. In total, over 33,665 American soldiers had been killed in battle. 217,000 South Korean soldiers were killed, and 1 million of their civilians were as well. There were 600,000 North Korean civilian casualties, while 406,000 of their soldiers were killed.
A lot of people probably died because the medics didn't have all that knowledge they have now. By the time the ambulance got there, if it did get there at all, and they didn't blow it up on the way to the hospital, it took a long time. A lot of the poor guys, they probably died on the way to the hospital.
Both North Korea and South Korea's economies were demolished. Neither had socio-economic stability after the Korean conflict had ended, and both were also suffering from hyperinflation. In addition, a new conflict between the United States and North Korea was also established.
America will never be able to provoke war or attack us. The entire continent of America is within reach of our nuclear attack. They must never forget the nuclear button is placed on my desk at all times. They must realize correctly that this is not a threat but reality.
Many countries, the U.S. included, learned many lessons in result to the war. These included the importance of military preparedness by each country, as well as the importance of having political and military allies. Countries, including the United States, were taught that having a global strategy was imperative for their future.
We were there to basically watch the North Koreans, and they would look right back at us and watch us through binoculars. But we also, while we were there, we patrolled inside the American side of the DMZ to ensure that the North Koreans hadn't set booby traps, weren't trying to infiltrate to the south.
Though the intention of the Korean War was to make both North Korea and South Korea either a communist or ultranationalist nation, they decided to end the war, preserving the same exact border.
Nothing ever crossed my mind about what I went through until now that I'm older. I'm 86 years old now, and things come across my mind with things that I went through, and how the world we survived. How we survived all that. With the grace of God, we survived it. I came home.